it's showtime!
I'm right here, Deborah.
Oh, hi.
Today's date is June 23rd, 2016.
Hoo-yah.
This is episode number 1 of Honestly with Debra and Troy. So that's our little thing where we're letting everybody know what we're doing.
Okay.
Hey, make sure, folks, that you go check this out. Chances are you're listening to it on our website, but if not, go take a look at our website. The website is honestlyatx.com. That is also our handle on all our social media. Honestly, ATX. That's Facebook. That is Twitter. That is Instagram. And that is YouTube as well. Make sure you like our YouTube channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you like our YouTube page. Tag us in any photos that you want.
You know, most people can't even remember the grocery list in the car.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're watching us right now, you're online, or if you're listening to us, you're online, and so all that stuff's nearby.
Yeah.
If we say something you like, or if you want to keep in touch with us, or if you want to come back and listen when you have more time, it's Honestly ATX. No matter where you go, Honestly ATX. And for more information on the show or on how to advertise, it's email us at honestlyatx.com @gmail.com.
Oh, crap. I got it wrong. Hey, it's Honestly with Debra Cole and Troy Dillinger, broadcasting pretty much alive.
Yes.
From the beautiful skyline, the ever-changing skyline of Austin, Texas.
That's right.
A stone's throw from my hometown of Pflugerville.
That's right.
But you're a local.
Is that your hometown?
Well, I've made it my hometown. I've been there for 20 years, and I have ridden all the bicycle trails. I've picked up all the dog poop along the way. I've met strangers along the way. It's my home.
I almost said something really filthy. I almost started our very first show with something really it's not even
Why
really
would you
filthy.
hold back?
I don't know. It's because it's not funny. It's not funny.
So anyway, here we are doing our very first show.
Yes.
And you have done an incredible job of... Are you former CIA? There are cameras everywhere.
And we're just pinning stuff up all over the way.
But the whole point of doing that is to what?
Well, so we're doing something that is not done very often, which is it's a video podcast. So it'll be, you can watch us if you like to see things, or you can just listen to us if you don't want to look at us. And so we'll have the audio version of this, we'll have the video version, and you can pick. It's twice as many things for us to sell advertising on.
Well, I know you have a preference of all the different, myriad of ways to show things, because you're good about the various platforms.
Yeah.
Me, I like to remain hidden. I always, you can't lie to the listeners or the callers or the viewers. With a camera in your face. So you've basically stolen my opportunities to lie.
Well, no, you can lie.
How?
It's in politics. You turn on the cameras and you start lying. So,
I'll see what I can get away
your
with.
years in radio have given you a certain anonymity and a certain... This is a whole nother opportunity to connect with our audience, right? And so I think with media changing the way it is, regular, they call it terrestrial media, which is the little ugly guy that sticks his finger out and wants to go home. So extraterrestrial media is going away, and but people are getting their entertainment differently. They're listening now. They're going to their computer. They're not. They might want to go to the park, or they might be sitting in a waiting room, and instead of watching mainstream news while you're waiting somewhere, you might want to flip on your iPad and watch something that has interest to you. Okay,
well, so we're just another one of the choices in the Whataburger menu.
Yeah, well,
we're one of the choices.
We're a little bit more. We're kind of like the locally sourced farm to table burger place. I mean, and here's why. Here's what we have going for us is that we have a positive message that you're not going to find in a lot of the mainstream media. It's the bigger they are, the more they're trying to scare you and keep you hooked in. It's a science. It's a science of fear, and the more they talk about terror, the more they are terrorizing people. And so like we agreed, we started working on this a while back, and we decided that we want to make people feel better about the world, put more positive stuff into the world, and so this is our drop in the media bucket.
Yeah, we've had this discussion before, and I probably had this discussion with many of you listening, and that is the arguing over differences has gotten really stale.
Yep.
It's gotten so beyond the pale that Troy and I thought it would be really cool just to talk about things that we find funny, things that we find uplifting, things that we find interesting, and that would be stories from you, things we share, people we connect together, and that is to sort of go back to, it's almost like the front porch of radio. Mm-hmm. And front porches are, as studies have shown, important in that they get people sitting on their porches and waving to their neighbors.
Yep.
I mean, for God's sakes, I've seen billboards in our own town that encourage people to know your neighbor, like actually look at your neighbor and know who you live next to. Well, if Troy and I can be sort of that front porch of radio and getting us to sort of reconnect in a fun, irreverent way, that's 20 minutes to an hour or however long we decide to sit here and lean on this hard glass table, that's time we can spend doing other things rather than stewing and being pissed off and wanting to get back at somebody who had a different opinion on another social media platform. And listen, I'm married to a guy that I don't get along with politically. We do not discuss politics in the home. And when we do, we end up slamming doors and going in separate directions.
Yeah.
So it's true. If it can be that close to my life, it's permeated everybody's life that way. And I don't see that there's any, no damn minds are being changed, so let's do something fun and let's do something different.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when we used to say, let's agree to disagree. And people could really do that.
Yes.
And now we can't.
Correct.
I've got a theory on that. We'll talk about that in a little while, my social media theory. We'll get around to that. In the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to give our friends on Facebook a chance to take a listen to us, but we're going to do a little business first. But how you feeling? How you feeling about our first episode?
Well, we're just barely into it, so it's kind of like, I only have one leg in the pant.
Yep.
So I'm not ready to say how I'm feeling. Okay. But more importantly, how do I look? You better say.
You look wonderful.
Okay, but listen.
You look wonderful.
The truth is that this is. I always feel the most nervous 24 hours before, 12 hours before.
You were.
But once the microphones go on, I go, hey,
Yeah.
I got to go to work now.
Yeah.
So you were going to get down to some business parts.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to listen to you rattle off those important and yet somewhat boring details of what we're doing.
Well, let me bore you first by telling you how I'm feeling.
Oh, how are you feeling?
Because I'm really excited. We thought a long, hard time about what we're going to do here, and I feel really good and really confident about what we're doing, and I want to go into this a little more when our live audience can see this, just how much I respect you and how excited I am to get to work with you. I'm also thinking about everybody I know who's going to watch this, and here's how I am. I'm not thinking about the people I know who are going to watch it and love it and tell people about it and stuff, and I wish I was. I've been thinking about the people who are going to watch it and just tear it apart and critique it and shit on me. And, it's like I'm thinking about, I have this kind of bad habit. So that's been kind of eating my lunch a little bit, of thinking about all the people who probably even aren't going to watch it.
Why don't you do what I do? Delete them. Block them, reject them.
Yeah. Well, some of them I have the opportunity to do that with. But
now, some people might razz you, though. You might come across as going, "Hey, Trey, what the hell are you doing? You just look like shit. I don't know what you're doing."
First, I would say it's Troy, not Trey. See, I can stand up for myself. No, it's all right. No, it's
I won't do that again. But I may have done it in the past, though.
It's okay. We're nervous. I think we're both a little nervous, and that's just fine.
My eyes are dry.
Are they?
Anyway, but don't worry about the naysayers, because remember, we're here to be positive.
Yeah.
And they can shit on somebody else's parade. Again, repeat after me. Delete.
Yeah.
Reject.
Well,
ignore.
See, I have this kind of policy of, like, every time I delete somebody from my life, I get over the problem, and then I go, why did I have to delete them, from my life, whether it's social media or real life?
This would be a great thing to be discussing live on Facebook, as a matter of fact, because it's so pertinent to that particular platform.
We'll pick this back up when we interview our guests.
All right, are we going to be able to go live here?
It's time to go live.
Okay, let's do it.
Hey, everybody, hi, and thanks for joining us on Facebook. We are going to mostly face each other because it looks better on camera. So if we're talking to each other and not looking at you and stuff,
I'll be looking at you.
We'll get to you eventually. Yeah. So here's what we until we got to you here on Facebook, what we've been doing is we've been just kind of doing the business of the show. We've been kind of talking about what and why we do the show.
Well, I think it's a good thing to reestablish the why.
Yeah, okay.
You said,
briefly.
A brief of why are we doing this and why do we want you to be a part of it? We're doing this because everybody is sick and tired of arguing and sick and tired of dropping friendships because they don't have things in common. Well, the smartest way to keep friends is to not discuss certain things, right? In polite company, you don't discuss certain things. And I've got a dear set of friends. My husband and I have a set of friends. We're all very different. And we never discuss certain things, because the goal is to just keep being friends, okay? And so part of what Troy and I really want to do is give us something to talk about and share that we don't have to argue over. I mean, I'm sure we could argue about, do you like mangoes or pineapples more? Right. I mean, we could argue about that. Right. But what we don't want to argue about is what is inundating our country and making us loathe one another.
Sure.
And it's breaking up friendships where friendships don't need to be broken. And it's causing a rift where we don't, we can jump over that chasm by discussing fun things and our humanity and what interesting things we notice in one another. Like, I'll give you an example. I was driving home today, and it's hot, right? It's kind of hot today. Not as hot today as it was yesterday. And there's an older man jogging, and he's got a personal trainer with him. So the young trainer's in his 20s. The guy jogging looks to be over 50. He's a little heavy. He's got his head covered with a rag, and the trainer stops to pour cold water on his head. I'm at a red light, so I get to watch all this. And once they start jogging again, I roll down my window on the passenger side, and I said, "You're doing great."
Nice.
And the trainer stops, and he bends down, and he looks at me and he goes, "What did you say?" I said, "You're doing great." And he puts his arm around the older man who's running, and he goes, "Did you hear what she said? She said you're doing great." And he patted him, and he just went on jogging, and I was like, some people would look at that man and go, "I give it up. You're too old. You're too fat." And I say, hogwash bullshit. We give good... Yeah, you can cuss when you're also in favor of, having positive messages.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's better to say, "Hi, how you doing? You're looking good," than, "What have you done for me lately?"
Right.
So let's just have reasonable adult conversation where we get to have a lot of fun.
So I would say, and to back up a little bit, I would say that not everybody is tired of arguing. Some people are very happy with arguing, and because they're getting all the attention doing that. It's a good way to create ratings, and that means it's a good way to sell advertising. Those are the people who would see the guy jogging with the towel on his head and the guy pouring cold water on him, and they would pull over and they'd say, "Go back home, Taliban. Keep waterboarding him."
Something,
right?
It
something
could be
like
any number of things could have come from people's mouths as they sat there and looked at that.
So that one fell so flat. I'm used to having a little bit of feedback.
You know what's flat? What's not flat? Your hair. You look like you're having your school portrait taken today compared to what we shot the day before yesterday or so.
Oh,
You're all kind of scruffy and looking all masculine. And now today you're very,
feminine.
No, not even. I'm the feminine one in this group, okay?
No, yesterday I was masculine.
No, I was saying
and today I'm not.
No, today your hair is coiffed.
Oh.
Your shirt looks selected. Yes. Whereas before it looked like you grabbed it out of the hamper and just went, "This'll do."
I did.
But today you look like you really took the time.
Yeah.
And if I were to transport you back into the 4th grade, having your picture taken, I could only make you really feel like a 4th grader if I licked my thumb and wiped the smudge off your cheek.
Yeah, well, my mom loves this haircut because this is my very first haircut. I have my very first haircut like decades later I used to look for years. I'd look at that picture of me as a kid, and I go, "Mom, why did you give me a Fred Flintstone haircut?" I mean,
so what we wanted to do today was figure out who this guy is.
Yeah.
Besides his haircut and his clever clothing.
Before we do that, let's say thank you.
Is there a list of names that?
Yes, it is right here on my computer. Why don't you switch seats with me while I'm changing this card out of the camera? Sorry, folks. This is what happens when you broadcast live.
My friend John Flash, Jamie Sells, my other. God, I have a lot of friends. I think I have more friends than you do. Patrick Wong. Oh my goodness! Look at what nice people these are. Okay, thank you, Jamie. $25. John, teaching, $25. I think he lives in Tennessee. There's Rick for $25. Rick. You know what, Rick? I've never known how to pronounce your last name. I want to say at Juelfs. I want to say Juelfs. But I know that's not right.
I was thinking Yulf.
Yulf? Juelfs.
Yulf.
It's definitely Eastern European looking. And then my friend Margaret Moreno. My good friend Margaret. And then Patrick Wong, he was our photographer. He was our go-to photographer when I worked on KLBJ FM with Dudley and Bob.
Oh, yeah?
And he's still an incredible photographer.
All these years later.
Oh, yeah. He's better now than he ever was. And then Dwayne Schiller, who works for Apple and is an incredible cook. The guy has a potato salad recipe that I would almost kill him for. But he actually offered to give it to me.
Now, is it Dwayne or Dwayne?
Dwayne.
Okay.
Dwayne.
Dwayne.
So these are some very generous. Like he's the only one.
He's the only one.
All right.
Dwayne. Okay.
Do you need a sip of coffee?
Yes, I do.
Okay. We'll wait.
Daddy needs his medicine. Here's the thing about GoFundMe. You and I come from two entirely different worlds of media. And I think I'm a lot better prepared for the new media, and here's why.
Yes, you are.
And in the traditional world of terrestrial broadcast media, your role has been talent, and your input on the business side is not wanted. It's not welcome. Yes. It's not coming from this totally DIY thing that I've had to do, because my music industry, we'll get into this. I'm a former, I'm a semi-retired musician. Like, I still play, but I'm not out on the road. I play some in Austin, that sort of thing. About 15 years ago, the bottom fell out of my industry, and it took people like me who were kind of on the cusp, and our only option was get all the way in or get all the way out. And so to remain in the music industry around the period of time, 2000 and on, you had to start becoming all the things that you endeavored for many years to never touch, to stay away from, to maintain your creativity. You stayed away from business. You stayed away from the money aspect of it. And so for a lot of people like me who went on past the crash of the music business, we had to learn to be our own business managers, our own, not so much producers, but we needed to get comfortable with the idea of money and financing our product, which it's a really difficult, as you see, it's a really difficult area to move into.
Well, most artists don't like to think about that at all.
Yeah. And the thing is that's all changed now. It's what's happened to music is now happening in terrestrial broadcasting. On my side, on this side of that thing, I've had to go sell my own advertising so I have a job, and so what I'd say is, welcome to the new media, baby.
Yeah, you got to sell. You got to do the media and sell the media, and the audience is basically in on the whole thing.
Yes.
Which is why I like the idea of bringing the audience into the show as much as possible, because you're not obligated to fund us or anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, you can drive past us, like picture us on the corner street somewhere. You just drive right past.
Yeah.
But you'd still be invited to participate in the show. We'd still love to talk to you. However we can bring you in to share your stories and to interact with you is worth a lot to me.
Yeah.
So you've already given the audience a little bit of information about you. Your name is Troy Dillinger, and I think that is absolutely the most interesting thing we should explore at this moment. Everybody knows the name Dillinger. That is your real name, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it's not a stage name.
Okay,
a lot of people
so tell us how you're related to the gun. No, that's the Derringer. You're related to the other Dillinger.
And that is actually the most common comment that I get.
Yeah.
Is people go, oh, like the gun.
So Dillinger, you're related to the outlaw?
I don't have the story. I don't have the story.
Oh, you need to go on Genealogy Roadshow.
Well, yeah, I do. Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd be glad to.
So your family tree doesn't reach that far back?
Well, my family tree's confused, you know. And hey, I started asking my grandfather, are we related to John Dillinger?
Was he Papa Dillinger?
Fuck no.
Not Grandpa Dillinger?
Papa. What do I eat with my hands? Hey, where's Papa? I'm sorry. Like, I can be a little bit.
No, did you call him Grandpa Dillinger?
Yes, I called him Grandpa Dillinger. Yeah.
Okay.
He fought in the Battle of the Bulge.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he fought in the Battle of the Bulge. He lived in a tank for a really long time, and he
lived in a tank. Meaning he served. He was in the army.
Yeah. No. Actually, he was he just didn't make any fucking money. He lived in a tank.
Just living in a tank.
Yeah.
So, probably a fish tank. Poor guy had to squeeze into a 40-gallon.
Not even a soldier. There was a blown up tank. He was traveling through Europe. He was just out of college. He wanted to go find himself. Happened to be a little war going on.
But the Dillingers are from what part of the country?
So we're from the Ohio, Indiana area, which is where John Dillinger's from. And so when I said, Grandpa, are we related to John Dillinger? His answer was a vehement, we're not related to that criminal. And I was like, okay. And I didn't get it. And finally, my cousin one day, he said, look, Grandpa doesn't like that because he used to get beaten up the whole time he was growing up, because Dillinger was robbing banks before there was an FDIC.
Your grandfather was Dillinger shamed, as we say in the vernacular of today.
No, he was beaten up.
Yeah.
He wasn't shamed.
I know. Well, the shaming usually comes right before the beatdown.
It was fish shaming, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, he used to get beaten up because all these poor farmer families who would take the little bit of money they had and put it into the bank. And John Dillinger would come rob the bank, and the money was gone. And the bank would say, hey, sorry, we're just locking the money up. We can't stop people from stealing it. And that's how the FDIC came to be, was because of John Dillinger.
Are you serious?
Serious as a heart attack. And so my grandfather was ostracized, beat up, and picked on his whole youth, because our family made a lot of his best friend's family poor, or families. We made them poor.
Not we. Wasn't there one robber in the family, or was there more?
One, just the one.
Then that's the asshole that should take the blame, not the whole family.
Yeah, well, funny.
I'm
Funny
serious.
thing is when your family goes from being farmers to being homeless, you're not that focused on the facts that way. You don't really go, hey, wait, maybe we're being a little out of line here. We're beating up this 16-year-old kid when it's a dead guy that took our money, right? So, it's something that it was a burden for him, and I'm an open book. I really don't. There's nothing about me, for the most part, that I'm not willing to tell, and the reason why is because we're all pretty much alike, and when you're honest about the deep, dark, dirty, weird shit, it helps other people. So I don't mind really disclosing stuff and being honest. So
I think it's a cool name. Dillinger is just pretty cool.
It's a great name, but what comes with it is alcoholism, womanizing, criminal behavior. Like there's this thing that comes along with my genealogy, and I'm the first generation to change it, to do something else. My dad is a guy who, and we don't have contact. My dad's a guy who's been back and forth between being a cop and being a criminal most of his adult life.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
well, he did that for a living as you were growing up.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
he was straddling the line between crime and being a cop.
He was a Ohio State trooper. He was on the very first SWAT team. They broke up the Kent State prison riot, and apparently that's commonly credited as the very first SWAT team. And so my dad was on that. Yeah. He was also fired, I think, or asked to resign because of his association with certain. I don't know. I doubt the Mafia listens to podcasts, so I can probably just say the Mafia.
I have not had a friend request from the Mafia, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, well, they don't. They go. Yeah, I don't know that social media is really their thing. But,
it is on some level, but you're right. For the purposes of your story today, I wouldn't worry about it.
I don't think they're coming after me for a 40-year-old crime. But yeah, they burned a restaurant, and then my dad had to take the rap. But my dad and my uncle, my dad's brother-in-law, were forever. Like, there's this period of my childhood where every 9 months they were in a new business. And the new business hinged around a semi full of stuff that just showed up. Oh. Like, so for 9 months, they sold bicycles. For 9 months, they sold caskets. You know, like for a year or so there, my dad was selling fake land. There's this thing, it's called a land deal. And this scam is still kind of around. It's on the level. I won't say the name because I don't want to get sued. But they licensed a name from a very popular, I'll say, I don't even want to, I don't want to get, it's.
Careful.
Yeah, I want to be careful. So they licensed this name, and they started this whole, they go out and they buy a large parcel of land. They put in a drainage line and water line, and not the whole thing, just right down the middle, right? And then they start putting in a swimming pool, and they usually finish the swimming pool, but they start selling lots. Yeah. And they sell their camper lots. And they put in a little electrical just right down the middle.
Yeah.
And then they go, for the whole, they go, well, we'll have the electrical and water out here in 6 months or less. And they sell as many lots as they can on this parcel while they're floating a note. The pool's being built on credit. Everything, all the utilities are put in by credit. They hit this critical point where they've sold enough lots, and they're not going to sell that many more, and they have to start paying for the stuff, and they have all the money pocketed, and all the bills are due, and then they disappear.
Yeah.
And my dad was part of that as well.
Did your dad ever have you run Contraband?
No.
Why not?
No. I don't think he was into Contraband.
Any kind of, you said bicycles, and I mean, did your dad ever have
I had a great bike. I had a great bike when I was a kid. I had a great coffin,
bike.
too.
Yeah, a great coffin.
I had the awesome. Every kid in school is jealous of my coffin.
But Dad, I'm not going to grow into that for years.
It was my size.
Okay.
We were going to make a Kentucky Derby racer out of it. Put the wheels on it and then make it go down the track.
Did your dad ever involve you in his dastardly deeds? And I'm not talking about take your son to work day.
Oh, no, he didn't use me for any of the scams, but I was there. Like, I went to visit him in Virginia one summer, so I was with him for about a month while he was doing that.
Did you ever call him out?
I didn't get it.
Oh, you didn't get it?
I didn't understand. Yeah. I didn't know, and he did a fairly good job of his that.
Is he in prison, or when did he get out?
No, he never went to prison. No, he got when the law, his mob buddies. There's a story goes, his mob buddies turned him in on this. They torched this restaurant. They all hung out at this restaurant like Goodfellas.
Yeah.
And they torched the restaurant. And when apparently they did a pretty kind of ham-handed job of it. And so when the fire department said, this is arson, and we're investigating. And they figured out that that somebody was gonna get busted for it, and they said, "So, Dillinger, you're gonna take the rap on this, but don't worry, we got you set up in Texas. We got you a job down there."
Yeah.
And so my dad, we were in a 26 room mansion on a man-made lake. We had 2 brand new cars and a 26-foot travel trailer. The electricity and gas had been off about 2 months. And within 2 weeks, we have everything packed into these 2 vehicles and the travel trailer, and we're on our way to Texas.
And you've been here ever since, right?
Yeah, they set my dad up as a sheriff's deputy for the most corrupt sheriff in Travis County history. So we arrived here in 1975. My dad went to work as a cop for Doyne Bailey. And,
I remember that name.
Yeah, Doyne Bailey. Yeah. And I had no idea the guy's reputation. I've been real fortunate too because my mom has been a nurse, most of my life, and she retired eventually. But I got to be exposed to a lot of really cool people with a lot of different disabilities and stuff like that. And one of the coolest was she was a nurse at the Austin State School for a long time. And she was a single mom. She divorced my dad. And there was times where she couldn't get a sitter and she had to take me to work. And so the kids there, the special needs kids there would babysit me, and they were my friends and stuff like that. And I actually learned a lot about humanity. There's this humility and a sense of understanding, a sense of humor that people who are anywhere from mildly to even profoundly, no, not so much profoundly, but people who suffer from mental retardation or mental disability, they understand. They understand. They know they're different. They know how they're different. And a lot of them are not burdened with the self-consciousness that we have about how people perceive us. Mm-hmm. They're not without feelings. They don't like to be different. And they don't like to be held apart. But there's like this acceptance and this empowerment that, yeah, we're different and we can't change it. So, and it seems like most of the kids go through a period where they struggle with accepting that. But in the ones who make it through that struggle, that's why they're carefree. That's why you see so many kids who are special needs that are so carefree, because they've kind of overcome that question of, am I good enough? Am I, how am I, I know I'm different, but am I good enough? And so that was a really cool experience for me. And honestly, I wish I'd learned a little better from it. It's taken me a while. Everything I needed to learn about those sorts of things, I feel like I'm finally learning in the last couple of years.
It seems like you took after your dad for the first 40 years of your life.
Oh,
and then
well, not 40. No,
30, 20, sorry.
Yeah.
So sooner than I thought.
Yeah.
Most people don't check themselves until they get to around 40, right?
Till they wreck themselves.
And so sometime after your 20s, then you let all the wonderfulness of your mother creep in, and you became clean and sober.
Yeah.
And you got just basically on the road to being more of a stand-up rock and roll guy, if there is such a thing.
Okay, so, hey, this is a good time to break in, and let's just call this an episode right here. We'll stop it right here and call this an episode. And so we'll make this a two-part interview. The next episode will be My Life Getting Good. It turns around. We just hinted at it, and my life turns around and it gets good. So please come back and watch the next episode. I got news, though. It didn't work out with Debra and I, and there's nothing acrimonious there. It's just not going to work, and I'm not going to try to dissect it or anything like that. And here's what I realized, that this is an important idea, and the idea is bringing a positive message to folks. Even if it's just in the little small dose that I can do it. So you and me, positive message, well, I'll talk more about that on the next episode, if you care to watch it. Debra's, of course, a great interviewer, and it shows through in this next episode, and we'll get to see my life go a little better. So thank you for watching this first episode of Honestly. I'll see you hopefully on the next one. Have a great day.